AFR On Demand is brought to you by Breck Golf. Try Beaver Creek today, just 20 minutes from downtown Baton Rouge in the Zachary area. They've got a PGA Tour driving range, a short game practice area, 30 to 40-yard practice shots. It's a great place to chip and putt and practice if you don't have time for a full round. Book your tee time today, golf.breck.org, golf.breck.org.
Matt Moscona.
I'm very important.
After further review.
Say it one more time.
After further review with Matt Moscona.
And here we go.
Live from the Raising Cane studio.
Let's rock!
And off we go. Welcome aboard. Glad you're with us. It's AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. I'm Matt.
This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt.
Paul O'Neal.
They're chanting Paul O'Neal's name.
You show. And Mr. Toby Tomplay. All right, we're here. Glad you are as well. Get out there and make it a good one. Oh, by the way, it's a hump day.
It's hump day.
Voice is just teetering, man.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Been that way since Friday.
Hump day.
Really wanted to elongate the hump day there.
It's hump day.
Voice was like, no, sir. No, you won't do that.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
That's not a thing that's going to happen right now, IRL.
Hump day.
Going to take it easy.
It's hump day.
Okay.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Put some respect on it.
Hump day.
Another LSU Tiger hits the portal.
It's hump day.
We'll talk about it.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Saints playing the Panthers.
Hump day.
We'll talk about it.
It's hump day.
Field Yates put out a mock draft.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
I want to punch him in the face.
Hump day.
Who employed Field Yates?
It's hump day.
Who decided that he was an expert worthy of hearing his opinion?
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
I think he let AI do his latest mock draft.
Hump day.
Actually, AI would do a better job with the Saints pick than Field Yates.
It's hump day.
Seems like a hell of a nice guy.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Probably really good at what he does.
Hump day.
But my goodness, did he mail in the Saints pick in his mock draft?
It's hump day.
We'll get to that.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Tim Brando will be here.
Hump day.
Love Timmy B.
It's hump day.
He was yelling at me on Instagram yesterday.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
I'll let him yell at me here.
Hump day.
And then I'll continue to tell him why the G5 doesn't deserve anywhere near a college football playoff.
It's hump day.
Because nobody is here to see James Madison with the 123rd strength of schedule in the country steal a playoff spot from a worthy team.
Mike. What day is it, Mike?
Nobody.
Hump day.
Okay. Let's get going. We got a ton to do, so let us begin as we do every single day.
It's time to pop the top on another edition of AFR with Bud Light. Drink easy.
Another day has brought another LSU Tiger declaring his intention to enter the transfer portal. This time it is quarterback / running back / defensive back Juwan Johnson. Announced it on his social media earlier today with the note, hardest decision of my life. Now let's finish strong. It's personal now. So I would assume that means, and thank you, Tiger Nation, that he still intends to play in the bowl game before leaving LSU. Remember, LSU will play in the bowl game on December the 27th, and then the portal officially opens on January 2nd. But as we've mentioned a few times, and just for the benefit of those who maybe don't remember, the effectively when this is all just basically like in the NFL, a legal tampering period. If you wonder why guys declare now their intention to enter the portal, even if they're going to play, something Frank Wilson even said on Monday on Tuesday when he met with reporters via Zoom was that Ahmad Bro was likely going to play in the bowl game, even though he's made his declaration that he intends to enter the portal. Well, effectively, because while teams can't contact players until the player is officially in the portal, teams can deal with a player's representative, and every player has an agent. And so you could sort of have the deal in place to know who's interested, what they're paying, all that sort of stuff, what they're offering. So when you do formally go in the portal, it's already done effectively. So that's why players put out now their intention of going into the portal. So like they use the month of December to work out a deal of where they're going to be next. We all know Juwan Johnson's path. He went to LCA, Lafayette Christian, and when he finished up there, he finished as the state's all-time high school leader in yards and touchdowns, over 14,000 yards, 171 career touchdowns. He's just a phenomenal athlete and magnificent with the ball in his hands. Came to LSU as a 4-star defensive back, but LSU needed him to play a variety of roles, and he was certainly willing. When Juwan Johnson showed up as a defensive back, John Emery tore his ACL, and remember Trey Holly was off the team, so they needed help at running back. So a year ago, Juwan Johnson moved to running back. Well, then in the spring, he moves to quarterback. He plays quarterback throughout fall camp. As a matter of fact, Joe Sloan, when he met with reporters in fall camp, kind of announced that decision, why they decided to move Juwan Johnson to quarterback.
Juwan wanted to come back to quarterback. I couldn't be more excited to have him. You know, he's obviously a different style of quarterback than maybe the other two guys. You're going to have to respect his feet. And, you know, just working through him, I think you've seen his growth from a passing standpoint. He throws a good ball, but in terms of his read progressions and doing the things he needs to do, and then, you know, just his footwork and commanding the huddle, I think he has great leadership skills. And obviously he's been electric with the ball in his hand. Made a couple big plays when we've been in live tackle situations. So I think he's been exciting. He's been fun to coach. He's attentive, and he's getting after it.
Juwan Johnson's 6 foot, 210 pounds. I mean, he's bigger than Trinidad Chambliss. He's bigger than Diego Pavia. I mean, if you think of it in those terms, I mean, Diego Pavia was the first team All-SEC quarterback this year as a Heisman finalist. So can't say Juwan Johnson is incapable, and it's pretty clear what he wants to do. As a matter of fact, on his Twitter, Juwan Johnson tweeted a video of him with his old high school quarterback highlights, and he used the caption, "Soon," effectively saying his intention is to go play quarterback wherever his next stop is. And look, Juwan Johnson has played a ton of football at LSU. As a matter of fact, over 2 seasons, he's played in every game. Played in all 13 games last year. He's played in all 12 games this year. So he's been a guy that's been willing to move positions, to do whatever he had to do. I love the tweet that he pinned at the top of his Twitter account, where this is from December of 2024, where he said, "I just want to bring a natty to the boot." It's the one thing you wanted. You know, it's one of the things that a lot of these guys who are from Louisiana that signed with LSU, this is their thing. They want to play at LSU and represent the state of Louisiana, and Juwan Johnson's in that number. But my guess is here, he's going to look in the portal for an opportunity to go play quarterback somewhere. And when you think about where that leaves LSU right now at quarterback, Garrett Nussmeier's out of eligibility. Juwan Johnson's in the portal. Colin Hurley is not currently with the team. He's taken an indefinite leave for personal matters. No telling if he'll be back. And that really only leaves Michael Van Buren. You know, you have Emil Picarella, who's a preferred walk-on, but Van Buren's the only scholarship quarterback. And, I mean, if you watched over the last month of the season, everyone who was hyped for Michael Van Buren, I don't suspect you're as excited today as you were when Van Buren got that first start, for a lot of the reasons that I and everyone who saw this team practice in fall camp told you. Like, he's got a long way to go to be a good starting quarterback in the SEC. And you could just look at the output of the offense. If you thought Van Buren was going to fix it, it just didn't happen. He scored 9 points against Alabama, 23 against the worst defense in the SEC in Arkansas, 13 against one of the worst defenses in Conference USA in Western Kentucky, and then he scored 13 at Oklahoma. So I don't think Lane Kiffin's sitting there going, "We got MVB, we're set." You didn't sign a quarterback in the 2026 class in the early signing period, so you have one scholarship quarterback. There's no telling even if Van Buren's going to be back. So they are going to have to go into the transfer portal and get quarterbacks in this transfer portal class. So I know everyone's brought up Sam Leavitt. Of course, Leavitt started his career at Michigan State. He spent the last 2 years at Arizona State. A year ago, got Arizona State into the college football playoff. A regression this year, but a guy with a ton of experience. There's the two Ole Miss quarterbacks, Trinidad Chambliss and Austin Simmons. Simmons is a young guy who actually went to SEC Media Days this year, started the season, lost his job due to injury when Chambliss Wally pipped him for all intents and purposes. And then there's Chambliss. Chambliss, as I understand it, is super loyal, not only to Kiffin, but to Charlie Weiss Jr., who is Kiffin gets the credit, but as I understand it, talking to folks at Ole Miss, that it's actually Charlie Weiss Jr. is the one that kind of has the relationship there with Trinidad Chambliss. So if Chambliss gets an extra year of eligibility, goes in the portal, LSU would be a very natural landing spot. If not, if Chambliss gets an extra year, stays at Ole Miss, maybe Simmons goes into the portal and finds his way to LSU. I think all that's very indefinite. But here's what I would say, and this is the biggest reason for optimism if you're LSU. There's 12 teams in the college football playoff this year, right? There's 12 teams that are about to compete in the college football playoff. If I asked you, do you know how many of those 12 are quarterbacked by first-year transfer starters? Do you know? Shout it out. You're driving, you're walking, you're sitting at your desk, whatever. Say it out loud. 12 teams. How many of the 12, just guess, how many of the 12 are quarterbacked by first-year transfer starters? It's 6. It's half the field. Fernando Mendoza's in his first year at Indiana. He's going to win the Heisman Trophy, by the way. Carson Beck's in his first year at Miami. Dante Moore's in his first year at Oregon. Trinidad Chambliss is in his first year at Ole Miss. Rhett Slaff is in his first year at Tulane. And John Mateer is in his first year at Oklahoma. 6. Half the field is made up of first-year transfer starting quarterbacks. And asterisk next to Julian Sayin, who's a first-year starter, but he's been at Ohio State for 2 years. Of course, he was behind Will Howard last year when they won the national championship. So 7 starters or transfers. 6 of them are first-year transfers at their current school, leading their team to the college football playoff. So, get asked a bunch, how much rope does Lane Kiffin have? How much grace period does Lane Kiffin have? Not much. I mean, if Kurt Cignetti can take over the worst job in the history, the losingest program in the history of college football, and in year 1, have him in the playoff, and then year 2, have him undefeated, ranked number 1 with the Heisman Trophy winner, and in the playoff, there's no reason Lane Kiffin, with all the resources LSU is going to give him, can't do the same thing, especially when LSU is not a total teardown rebuild like it was when Brian Kelly showed up. Played a bowl game with 38 scholarship players, back-to-back non-winning seasons. I mean, you're not in as dire straits now as you were post-Ogeron heading into Brian Kelly. And Kelly very rapidly turned LSU around. A big reason was he hit in the portal on a transfer quarterback in Jaden Daniels. Lane Kiffin's got to go do the same thing. Juwan Johnson out. Tigers got work to do, big-time work to do, come January 2nd when that portal window opens. All right, it's after further review. Show Up and Every Day is brought to you by Bud Light. Drink easy with the great taste of Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, and the official beer of the New Orleans Saints. If you're heading to that Christmas party, that holiday party, make sure you got plenty of delicious ice-cold Bud Light. If you're hosting a party at your house, make sure you got plenty of the officially licensed LSU cans or 16-ounce aluminum bottles. Whether you're watching the game or just hanging out, maybe you're going to your favorite watering hole or restaurant, make sure you drink plenty of delicious ice-cold Bud Light, the official beer of AFR, the official beer of the LSU Tigers, the official beer of your New Orleans Saints. All right, y'all, it is after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here on this Hump Day edition of AFR presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. We'll knock out a quick break. The New Orleans Saints are getting ready to welcome the Carolina Panthers. We do have an updated participation report from Wednesday's practice as the team hit the field for the first time and advanced their rematch with Carolina. We'll tell you who of those key injuries was out there here on this Hump Day. That's next on AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by the Watermark in the Renaissance, Watermark Downtown, Renaissance Southtown. Of course, if you're hosting an event, there's no better place in Baton Rouge than Renaissance Baton Rouge. And it doesn't matter what size event. Remember, they got more than 13,000 square feet of meeting space at Renaissance Baton Rouge. It's incredible. Their grand ballroom alone can host up to 500 people. So it really doesn't matter what size or scale event or type of event you're trying to host. It's a wedding reception, Renaissance Baton Rouge. If it's an awards banquet or a fundraiser, Renaissance Baton Rouge. Maybe you need a boardroom for a dozen people. They have gorgeous corporate boardrooms equipped with all the technology you need. They can even serve your meals in the boardroom if that's what you need. If you're having like a work retreat, Renaissance Baton Rouge. Right there on Bluebonnet, convenient to I-10, so it's easy to get around Baton Rouge, across from the mall in Perkins Row. Tallulah, the gorgeous restaurant inside of Renaissance Baton Rouge. They got everything, y'all. It's right there on Bluebonnet. Check them out. It's Renaissance Baton Rouge.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
First and foremost, you start off with our run game, and it was about blocking to the second level. Demario Davis, Pete Werner, these are guys that I really respect. Making sure we get a hat on their best tacklers, in the different phases. I didn't think we did a great job of that. And from a physical standpoint, we couldn't run the ball on them. They ran the ball on us eventually, and they beat us at our own game. We want to play a physical style of football, and they did a great job, and that's the challenge in front of us.
This is Dave Canales talking about what went wrong for the Panthers in their first matchup with the Saints in Charlotte last month. And, that whole week leading into that game, all the talk was about Rico Dowdle and the amazing month that he was having. And the Saints just suffocated Carolina. The Panthers put up just 7 points on their home field. Carolina ran the ball 23 times for 73 yards. It was a mighty impressive performance for the New Orleans Saints defensively. Carolina led that game 7-0 and never scored again. It was crazy. Tyler Shuck, that was his first career win, 19 of 27 for 2 touchdowns. It wasn't overwhelming, but the Saints as a team played really well. They were wearing the all-whites that day too, which I can kind of get on board with, but you got to do a better job with that helmet. Like, you got to match the goals. Don't. I'm not going down that path. Anyway, bottom line is the Saints had a great game plan the first go-round against Carolina, executed it, won the game. It's one of the really interesting things about divisional games. The teams know each other so well. You play each other twice a year. So it's almost like a best-of-7 series in the playoffs in the NBA. When you keep playing the same team, it's how do you adjust in that given game? And so that's always sort of the game within the game. So it rarely, if ever, goes the same way twice. You just think about what we just saw with the Saints and the Bucks. The first go-round, the Saints lost at home 23-3 against Tampa. This one, 24-20, the Saints win. You had a different quarterback, much better game plan offensively as the Saints were able to move the ball a bit in the slot. Played very sound football. So just it very seldom goes the same way twice. So how might this game be different? It'll be fascinating to see as it plays out. Canales was also clear, man. Talked about how what he thinks of Kellen Moore and this squad, despite the 3-10 record.
If you look at the totality of their body of work, this is a defense that's been playing really good football for a long time. They've found an identity offensively, and you look back to our game, they had some big wins in some third down situations. But if you look at their run game to finish the game, they had variety, they sustained long drives, and they've really found a way to play really good football. And so I respect that and I understand that. And, when you look at some of the margins of some of their losses, there was a couple of big ones, but for the most part, they're battling, and a team will make a play or two, and, I think about us, we have 3 walk-off field goals, and how close the NFL is in general, and how hard it is to win. So I know what we're facing on Sunday. I know what we're going up against, and I respect this team, and I know our players, they understand as well, the challenge we have in front of us.
By the way, Canales mentioned those close games. Crazy stat. Panthers are 10-4 in their last 14 in one-score games. Their last 14 one-score games are 10-4. So they found a way to win those close games. See how it goes on Sunday. We do have a participation report from Wednesday's practice I want to get to in just a second. There was some good news for New Orleans as a starter was back at practice today. It's not the full injury report, but we do have the participation report, so I'll get to that in just a second. let me remind you about First South Farm Credit, firstsouthland.com, firstsouthland.com. Thinking of buying land? Your first call should be to First South Farm Credit. Moving here toward the end of 2025, but maybe in 2026, one of your first priorities is going to be buying land. Maybe you already own land. If that's the case, a lot of people who are land buyers already own land, so you could take equity in your current property, roll it into your new property. It doesn't matter where you are in Louisiana or anywhere. First South Farm Credit can help you buy land anywhere in the contiguous 48. Ton of business in the New Orleans area. Maybe you live in the city, you get married, you have a family, you want to move to the North Shore, as so many are, work in the city, enjoy the rural lifestyle. You can do that. You want to buy 100 acres in Tangipahoa? Well, there's got an office in Amite. They can help you out. It's First South Farm Credit. So log on to firstsouthland.com. That's firstsouthland.com. So Taliese Fuaga returned to Saints practice on Wednesday as the Saints get ready to take on Carolina. This would be a major boost if they were able to get him out there. Now, Fuaga did participate in a limited capacity at times last week, but did not play in the win against Tampa. Asim Richards started, but then Richards himself was injured in that game against Tampa. So you were down to your third right tackle in that game. So in this game against Carolina, if in fact you get Taliese Fuaga back, that'd be fantastic. There were only two players that were not seen during the media portion. Again, we'll wait till later in the day when we get the full injury report to know who was limited, full, in, out, severity of injury, all that stuff. But Alvin Kamara did not practice. Neither did Asim Richards. I should clarify, they were not there during the open portion to the media practice. So Kamara not available. Devin Neal, Audric Estime, Evan Hull continued to work at running back on Wednesday for New Orleans. And then Justin Reed was also back at practice. He was not participating, but he was there kind of working on the side with the coaching staff. So no helmet, but he was there. So we'll see to what degree he might be listed in an official injury report capacity, and if they might be able to ramp him up and get him ready to go this weekend, again, to be determined. But Fuaga returned to practice, which was great news. Only Kamara and Richards absent here on Wednesday. All right, it is After Further Review. We're glad you're hanging out with us here. Hump Day shows are brought to you by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com. That's yourgoodwood.com. We are going to go around the SEC here in just a smidge, get you caught up with what's going on around the conference. Also, Willie Fritz, the Houston head coach, had his media availability to preview the Texas Bowl like Frank Wilson did a day ago. So we'll let you hear some of what the Houston Cougars head coach had to say in advance of the game against the LSU Tigers. We're going to head to Charlotte in about 45 minutes. Our buddy Julian Council will be here from Locked On Panthers. He'll preview Carolina. Tim Brando in Hour 3. Ton to do. Glad you're hanging out with us here. It's AFR.
AFR.
We're brought to you by River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime. 752-0001. 752-0001. 752-0001 or 1hourbr.com. Y'all, check out River City's 1 Hour Air. Your temperatures are dropping, and the last thing in the world you want is for your heater not to keep up. So make sure that your heater is ready. Keep telling you about the full heater tune-up and safety inspection. You can save $30 off that heater tune-up and safety inspection, or $30 off any heating repair when you mention the show at River City's 1 Hour Air. Keep your home safe. Keep your system running efficiently. Keep your family comfortable during the long, cold weather months. Call River City's 1 Hour Air. 752-0001, 752-0001, or 1hourbr.com. For River City's 1 Hour Air, where they're always on time or you don't pay a dime.
After Further Review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
A day ago, the SEC announced their all-conference teams. There were 6 LSU players on the 3 teams. Today, the individual awards were announced. Tomorrow, Thursday, it'll be the freshman all-SEC team that'll be announced. But the individual awards, maybe no great surprise here when I run through them. Diego Pavia, the SEC Offensive Player of the Year. Cassius Howell from Texas A&M, the Defensive Player of the Year. Tate Sandell, the kicker from Oklahoma, is the special teams player of the year. Braylon Stanley from Tennessee was the SEC freshman of the year. Trinidad Chambliss, one of the great stories in college football this year, was the newcomer of the year in the conference. And then the Jacobs blocking trophy was shared with Caden Proctor and Trey Zune. Proctor from Bama, Zune from Texas A&M. Nick Rinaldi, the Scholar Athlete of the Year. If you're not familiar, he's from Vanderbilt, because of course he is. And then Clark Lee, Coach of the Year. How about Vanderbilt? Offensive Player of the Year, Coach of the Year, Scholar Athlete of the Year. It is a new day, in fact. And I also think it's interesting, with Clark Lee, because his agent is Jimmy Sexton, and we detailed a lot of this throughout the whole Lane Kiffin saga as that was consistently developing and evolving. But one of the things that a coaching carousel does is it gives coaches an opportunity and agents an opportunity to negotiate new deals and raises for their clients when agents successfully get their client's name mentioned for other jobs. And I don't know if Clark Lee ever really intended to leave Vanderbilt. Very wise of Vanderbilt, by the way, to give him an extension and lock him in. But in Florida was interested. I mean, that was a pivot that Florida had whenever it was clear earlier to me than it was to Florida, that Lane Kiffin was going to pick LSU. But when they pivoted and Florida moved on, one of the names that they mentioned was Clark Lee, and Brent Key was another at Georgia Tech. Well, both Clark Lee and Brent Key both have Jimmy Sexton as their agent. Both ended up getting raises at their current places. And also, like a guy like Clark Lee, who's an alum, Brent Key, an alum, I think it'll be so fascinating to see in this era, because I don't know. I mean, it's just something that time will tell how this can continue to evolve. Because someone like Kurt Cignetti is proving you can win at Indiana, Clark Lee is proving you can win at Vanderbilt in this era, do you see coaches more willing to stay? I mean, it's one of the things that a guy like, when Pat McAfee was arguing to Lane Kiffin so earnestly, like, stay at Ole Miss, that was sort of his point, is the game's changed. You don't have to go to LSU to win a championship anymore. You could do it at Ole Miss. Now, I don't know if I believe that. You can get in a 12-team playoff at Ole Miss. I don't know if you can win the national championship. Certainly not compete for it consistently, like you can at a place that is more resource-rich. Like, let's not forget, Ohio State, Georgia, like, they're still mainstays in this thing. So there is and will continue to be benefit of being at these stable programs with great resources, more so than being at an Indiana or an Ole Miss or a Vanderbilt. But it will be interesting test case to see if these coaches do pass on opportunities from the perceived top 12, 15 jobs or so in the country to remain at places like Georgia Tech or Vanderbilt because they think they can win there. And it's worth noting. I mean, Kurt Cignetti signed his extension at Indiana. He's staying there. Lee has an extension. I mean, all these guys have signed extensions at their current schools to stay put. Can they consistently make them a contender? And the other thing that we mentioned plenty throughout the Kiffin saga was the new era of NIL and that evolution and how that may change these conversations, because it's not just about funding a collective anymore. You've got to be able to funnel that money from your NIL budget to the players through legitimate NIL opportunities with businesses. So it's great if you raise $20 million for your roster through NIL, but can you actually get that money to the student athletes in a legitimate way through the NIL Go Clearinghouse? Well, schools with bigger brands are going to have more of an opportunity to do that. And I think that's one of the concerns Lane Kiffin had, was that as he's projecting, thinking college football is going to revert to being the blue bloods in positions of power because of the new NIL. If conceivably, national brands would much rather do a deal with a player at LSU than at Georgia Tech, right? That makes sense. It's just a much bigger brand, or Vanderbilt, or Indiana. Like, honestly, answer this question honestly. Fernando Mendoza is going to win the Heisman on Saturday. How many people before Saturday could have picked Fernando Mendoza out of a lineup without his helmet on? Like, truly, could you have picked Fernando Mendoza out of a lineup without his helmet on before Saturday? Watching a game that 20 million people watch with number 1 versus number 2 and it going the way it did? Few and far between. A lot of people know what Arch Manning looks like. He's a quarterback of a Texas team that's not going to the playoff. Brand. It matters. So, just an interesting thing to watch, but what a year for guys like Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss and Clark Lee and Diego Pavia at Vanderbilt with their national awards. Again, the freshman All-SEC team will be announced on Thursday. We certainly fully expect that DJ Pickett will be on there and quite possibly named like Harlan Berry. So we'll know tomorrow, the freshman All-SEC team. All right, it's after further review. We'll go around the SEC in just a second. Brought to you by South Point Volkswagen, southpointvw.com. New and certified pre-owned in Baton Rouge and online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com, y'all, we near the end of the year, which means they got to move inventory, which means as the 2026s arrive, the 2025's got to go. It's a great time to go make a deal at South Point Volkswagen. Volkswagen Deal Day is going on 2025. Taos, how about 0% for 60 months? It's 5 years, y'all. 0% for 60 months? Is that a typo? Can't be. It's on the graphic on the website. Go test drive one today at South Point Volkswagen. Airline just north of Highland or online at southpointvw.com. Southpointvw.com. South Point Volkswagen. What's your direction? All right, do it every day about this time. Let's go around the SEC.
Around the SEC, bringing you the biggest news from the nation's best conference, the Tennessee Volunteers.
Chris Lowe's reporting Tennessee is expected to hire Jim Knowles as the new defensive coordinator. Knowles was at Penn State this past season, of course, out with the firing of James Franklin. Prior to that, he was at Ohio State, where he had the Buckeyes number 1 nationally in scoring defense and number 2 in 2023.
The Texas Longhorns.
Texas has fired running backs coach Chad Scott after just 1 season in Austin. Longhorns really struggled on the ground. It was the worst rushing performance statistically in 81 years in Austin. Jabbar Jalouk, Markel Blackwell from South Carolina, a couple of names to watch as potential replacements.
The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Darren Wilson will return as secondaries coach there at Arkansas. He spent last season at Florida. Matt Zenitz first to report this. He left Arkansas after 2024 to take the DC job at Georgia State, but then took the secondary job at Florida after that was offered to him. 2023, Razorbacks are 4th in the SEC in pass defense. It was the best defensive effort by Arkansas since 2011. So Darren Wilson headed back to Fayetteville.
The Mississippi State Bulldogs.
Jeff Lebby's announced quarterback Blake Shapen will not be with Mississippi State for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. Of course, State 5-7, but bowl game opt-outs open the door for State to play in a bowl game. Kamario Taylor, the freshman, will start after starting the Egg Bowl against Ole Miss. Shapen played in 11 games for Mississippi State this year with 2,400 yards and 15 touchdowns.
The Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia has adjusted some future scheduling here. They've announced their 2026-2027 home and home series with Louisville and the 2033-2034 home and home with NC State. They've both been canceled. Georgia and Louisville are looking to play a neutral game site at a later date. We'll see. And Georgia's also approached Florida State about scrapping their 27-28 series. There is a conversation about a neutral site matchup there with the Seminoles as well.
The Alabama Crimson Tide.
And tight end Cole Lumpras out of New Jersey, he committed to Alabama. The number 17 tight end in the country is the 4th commit for 2027. All right, there you have it. That is Around the SEC. We're presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness, yourgoodwood.com. Hey, gents, if you are on hormone replacement therapy presently, strongly recommend you give Goodwood a look and maybe change and switch your provider. Yourgoodwood.com, yourgoodwood.com. There's some clinics that charge you like a membership fee. They don't charge that. So if you're paying a membership fee, by the way, leave now. Run away. Run and hide. That's ridiculous. Number 2, Goodwood has the lowest prices. And we're talking about a commodity. It's the same product. If you're on Cypionate, Enanthate, whatever your testosterone is that you take, you get the same thing. It's the same product. It's a commodity. So who's going to sell to you the cheapest? Who's going to give you the best service? That's Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. And also, every 6 months when you do your blood labs, because, you got to do your blood work every 6 months, they don't charge you for the blood work. Goodwood picks up that expense. There's no reason not to switch. I did. You should as well. At least check them out. YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com. Especially, man, if you're paying a membership fee where you go to get your HRT, there's no need. Get the same product, cheaper with better service. YourGoodwood.com, YourGoodwood.com. Real quick, I want to circle back to the Georgia thing, canceling the upcoming series with Louisville and with Florida State and NC State. We talked about this when the SEC went to 9 games, and we had Verge on the show. This was at the time when Verge was not LSU athletic director, Verge Osbury. He was associate AD, and he was in charge of football scheduling. But he came on the show, and we talked about this at great length. And he explained, it was so obvious the league was going to go to 9 games. And so all of these schools that had been scheduling future non-conference series, it was foolish because you were going to ultimately end up canceling all of these, especially the ones who had built-in rivalry games. Like Georgia plays Georgia Tech every year. So that's going to satisfy your Power 4 agreement. Well, you go to a 9-game schedule and you play Georgia Tech, you're also going to play Louisville, Florida State, or NC State. No. So it was very short-sighted of a lot of these SEC programs that were scheduling these home-and-home series in advance. Florida's done it as well. They've had to cancel series that they had scheduled because they're not giving up their game with Florida State. And they're not going to put themselves at a competitive disadvantage by playing 2 Power 4 non-conferences in addition to the 9-game league schedule. So a lot of these schools have a lot of undoing to do and probably buying out of a lot of these deals, but Georgia is the latest with more to come. All right, it's after further review. We're glad to have you hanging out with us here. I got a quick break, y'all. Wrap up hour number 1. Taylor Calandra will be here for a little Bourbon Dictionary. Got your booze questions. Email us, tweet us, text us. 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Bourbon Dictionary is next.
After further review.
If you're thinking of selling your home, you need to call Darren James. Why? Well, there's tons of reasons. Let me count the ways. How about the fact that Darren's on the Wall Street Journal's list, top 1% of realtors in America on the transaction side. Number 14 in the country. Number 14 in the country. Say that again slowly. Darren James, Baton Rouge, number 14 in America on the transaction side. There's only 13 agents in the entire country that close more deals every year than Darren. He's number 1 in Louisiana. Also, working with Darren obligates you to nothing. If at any point you're not thrilled, he'll let you out of the contract free and clear. And he guarantees he'll sell your home. Sit down with Darren. You agree to a price and a deadline. If he doesn't sell your home at that price by that deadline, he'll have your home bought with cash or he'll sell it for free. What are you waiting on? Need to sell your home fast for the most amount of money? You need Darren James. Agent225.com. That's agent225.com.
Think real estate. Think Darren James.
After further review, presented by Goodwood Men's Sexual Wellness. Visit yourgoodwood.com.
There's breaking news. We're going to get to Taylor in just a second. There's breaking news in college football, and it is really significant. And I think the tentacles are going to reach even further than this initial story. All of the national writers right now have it, but Michigan has fired Sharon Moore with cause. And there's a report that he had an inappropriate relationship with a student worker. And I will be very candid with you that I was tipped off to this weekend. Obviously did not confirm it. I don't have contacts in Michigan to be able to do enough digging to confirm this, but I was tipped off to this weekend. I'm not sure I fully believed it, to be perfectly honest with you. And I think the first thing that everyone here will go to is, well, Bryce Underwood will enter the portal. Maybe. I have no idea. The other part that was most interesting to me, as it would relate to our audience here, is that not only was Sharon Moore going to be fired with cause for having an inappropriate relationship with a student worker, and actually, as I understand it, it's even deeper than that. Let's say the ramifications of the relationship with this student worker, without saying any more, maybe it'll come out when it does. But the the same person that told me this on Saturday, that Sharon Moore was going to be fired for cause, told me that the expectation is that Kalen DeBoer would be the number one target for Michigan. I sat on this for 4 days, obviously, because I had no way to validate if it's true. Now that this part of it's true, the other part is certainly has infinitely more credibility to it, knowing the first part was accurate. So that is not to say that Kalen DeBoer will take the job, that Michigan will offer it, or anything along those lines, or that he has any interest. It's just to say you better believe he's going to be on the list, because the person that told me on Saturday that Sharon Moore was going to be fired for cause told me DeBoer would be the number one target in that search. So buckle up, because one of the premier jobs in college football is now open, and most any coach is at least going to answer the phone if Michigan calls. So how might that go? See. And then there's also still the possibility of Marcus Freeman, who's the betting favorite to be the next coach of the New York Football Giants. So you could still in this cycle have both Michigan and Notre Dame come open. Stay tuned. Okay, hit it.
They're the gang with the slang.
Keep it 100. I don't know what you're talking about.
This is Bourbon Dictionary with Matt Moscona and Taylor Calandro.
I don't understand.
Yo, man, how are you?
Good. What's up?
How about that?
Yeah, dude. That's the first I've heard about that at all. Obviously.
Yeah, it just broke. It literally just broke minutes ago. Nobody's heard about that.
Dave Portnoy's still at Michigan, and so is Larry Ellison. So.
Yeah, not worried about them. All right, what's new?
Oh, Jesus Christ. That threw me all off. I was very invested.
Good luck doing my job, huh? How about that? Like, now you just got to keep. Oh, no worries. I just got to do 2 hours and 9 more minutes. Huh?
We got some new stuff from Pinhook. It's called True Small Batch.
Nice.
One of them, and obviously it's hard to find information about any of this stuff. I haven't tried them either. I think they call it True Small Batch because they're just pulling from like 2 to 6 barrels from what I've read. Which I don't know what distinguishes that from a regular small batch, but maybe that's where they're going with all this stuff. But one of them's with Castle and Key, and the other one's called Triple Double. They're around $100 each. I think one of them's like 90, but they're $100 each. I haven't tried them. And as far as proof, they're like 120 proof each. Now, I did read 1 or 2 reviews about the Castle and Key when they said they're pretty good. So they're very new to me. They're very new to us. And most of the time, Pinhook stuff's pretty good. So, and also, I haven't talked about this. It's not necessarily super new, but we got Angel's Envy Rye at small batch. It's a limited run thing. Yeah, I can't remember what regular small batch. Regular rye is. I think it's 100 proof, but this one's 104. I think it's vice versa. I don't know which one's which, but the cool thing about this one is it's not $100 or $130. This one's $65.
Okay.
For people that want to try Angel's Envy Rye, it's very similar. I got to try it. It's very similar. So, and it's almost half the price.
Awesome.
So,
all right. We got a few minutes. Get some questions in. Email us, tweet us, text us, 225-396-4400, 396-4400, 396-4400. Craig said, ask Taylor, were you one of the 3 stores to get a bottle of King of Kentucky?
We have not gotten a bottle of King Kentucky, no.
What's going on with the allocation, by the way? But the raffle was supposed to be tomorrow, but it's been pushed because the allocation is not coming in.
They're just delayed. It's happened. I don't know if it happened last year. I can't remember when we did the raffle. I think we did it before New Year's, though. But it's happened a couple. I think we've had to do it after the first once or twice before.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're pushing it back until after the first of the year. I don't even know when, just whenever the allocation comes. It might even be in the spring. That's what I was talking about yesterday. So.
Yeah, I popped into the store yesterday, and I love that idea. By the way, of course, Calandro sold their Perkins location, so they're singularly at the original location on Government Street, and you all own that parking lot. So you were talking about doing maybe potentially like a parking lot event, which would be amazing.
Yeah, and if it drags on into spring, then that would be ideal. So I don't know. This is just throwing stuff against the wall, but yeah, we couldn't do that at Perkins Road because we didn't own the building. So
I literally have like 55 seconds before I'm going to hit a hard break. The Sharon Moore thing ate up all our time. So just tell me the best thing to drink at a holiday party.
Dude, you know what? It's funny you ask this because I was going through social media the other day. You need to everybody needs to type in Martha Stewart's eggnog recipe on YouTube.
Okay.
And it's like the first video. It looks like it's like early 2000s, late 90s. Go make that. It's hilarious, first of all, the amount of bourbon she puts in it.
Not a bit.
It's a great video. Martha Stewart's eggnog recipe. Go look it up.
All right, I got to go. See ya.
See you, Matt.
All right, that's Taylor Calandro. Sports Center's coming up. We get you caught up on national headlines. Michigan fires Sharon Moore for cause. No doubt they'll have more on that.
After further review.
We're brought to you by Arco Power Systems, ARCCO, Arco.com, Arco.com, ARCCO, Arco.com. This is industrial generator power. Man, an amazing company, too. It's been so incredible to learn their story over at Arco Power Systems. Just their size and scope and scale, because they're a company right here in Baton Rouge on Airline Highway. But they have offices up to Little Rock and east to Mobile and west to San Antonio and all over. And it doesn't matter what industry that you're in, Arco Power Systems serves you if you need standby generator power. Nursing homes, grocery stores, hospitals, hotels, banks, chemical plants, gas stations, universities, governments, municipalities. Basically, if you're a commercial or industrial facility and you need standby generator power, Arco Power Systems can help. They have turnkey solutions as well. Check them out at arco.com. ARCCO, arco.com.